Okay, I'm going to pick up where I was. So I just showed you that God does not love everybody. Most people are going to hell. Jesus said, few will find the narrow way. So let's talk about persecution and the things that Jesus said were going to happen to the Christians. I'll go back over John 15 and 20. If they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. Matthew 5 and 10. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Righteousness, doing what is right. For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 5 and 11. Blessed are you when men shall revile you, or defamed, or taunt. That's what it means, revile. And persecute you, and say all manners of evil against you falsely for my sake. That is tribulation. That is controversial. Matthew 10 and 34. Think not that I have come to send peace on the earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. Now let's look at this sword. I just had to go look at what the sword. We know the sword is the word of God. It's the truth. But what does it mean? I looked up sword. I can't pronounce some of this word. Makahara. Makahara. Okay? It's a derivative of make, which means controversy. The words of Jesus are controversial and they will cause problems. He called the Pharisees and Sadducees children of hell. That's controversial. And the Baptists, Catholics, Pentecostals, Lutherans, Methodists, Assembly of God, all of them are children of hell. Those that are teaching in the pulpits. And I got down here, if you've been conformed to the likeness, the icon of Christ, you will learn to think like Jesus, and you will have controversy in your life. The sword is controversy. Those words that Jesus taught are controversial. Matthew 10 and 36. And a man's foes shall be those of his own household. If you tell the truth, there will be tribulations and controversy in your own house. They may hate you. Matthew 10 and 21. And brothers shall deliver up brothers to death, and fathers the children, and children shall rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. That sword is controversial. Matthew 10 and 22. And ye shall be hated of all men for my sake, but ye that endure to the end shall be saved. Tell them that God saves his elect, his family only. Man cannot save himself. With a sinner's prayer, I repeat it over and over and over. There's no such thing as a sinner's prayer for salvation, or giving your heart to Jesus, or eating a Eucharist. Drinking crackers and grape juice, getting dipped in water. All of it's just traditions of men. So, you will be hated by the religious people of this world. The other people around here don't care. They don't believe in anything. But you tell them this. This is in the Bible. And if you don't believe it, you are Antichrist. Romans 8 and 29. And we know all things. It didn't say good things. It says all things. Good and bad. Good and bad. The things that happen to us appeared to be bad to begin with, but have turned out wonderfully in our spiritual walk. And we know all things work together for the good that them that love God, agape, walk in his commandments. God to them work together for good of them that love God. To them who are the called, the word is kletos, called, means appointed to salvation according to his purpose. It's God's purpose to choose people for whatever his mind is doing, whatever he chooses to do is for his purpose. And it's not for us to question. Let's go on. For whom he did foreknow. Yeah. Foreknow is the word prognosko. To know intimately beforehand is what it means. For whom he did know intimately beforehand. He also did predestinate. It is not the greatest word in English, but they had to come up with something. Prorizo is what it is in the Greek. Pro, which means before, and horizo. You get the horizon from that. The division of day and night. The boundary of light. It means to be pre-bound in the light. And we know that Christ, Jesus, is the light. It means to be pre-Jesus, the light before the foundation of the world. Your names were written in the Lamb's Book of Life before the foundation of the world. And it's God that wrote it there. And it's God that will take you and will chastise you and will give you a bloody beating in this life to conform you to the thinking of Christ if you belong to him. It goes on. Predestined to be conformed to the image, the icon, the likeness, the thinking of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. It goes on in verse 30. Moreover, whom he did predestinate, he also called, appointed to. And whom he called, he also justified. And whom he justified, them he also glorified. You preach this truth. You preach this to a Baptist church now, and they will run you out on a rail. This was taught in the Baptist church 150 to 200 years ago. Predestination. You tell them this, and you will be persecuted. You'll be thrown out. So, okay, now I'm going to switch over to understanding what's going on with the people and the nations around the world and explaining some of what the red letters that Jesus said. These are idioms, and you have to understand the idioms to understand what's going on around you and why these people are mad and crazy and in the streets and, in all these countries. And, you're talking about, people are talking about this mass migration that's destroying nations. It's God that does that. It's God that put 10 or 15 or 20 million of these people that will totally destroy this country when things go bad. These are rough, hard people that have come into this country. Think about it. When God took them out of Egypt, he brought them to a land that had other people there, and they took it. God has moved people, groups of people around this world to destroy nations. He's destroyed Europe. Those people invited in the worst of the worst. Those Africans over there know nothing of civilization. They were still living in huts. And you welcomed them into these nations over there, and you wonder why rape is up and crime is up. That's their way of life. But it's God that's done it. God has done all of it. God has brought these people into this country that don't plan on being part of this country. They want to start their own. And it's God that's done it. And nothing anybody does is going to stop it. You can't get rid of them. They're here. And when things go bad They revolt, this country is going to be destroyed. Okay, let's talk about Luke 21 and 25. And there shall be signs, this is an idiom, signs in the sun and the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Those are all idioms put together. The first idiom we're going to talk about it is signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. That's an easy one because I had a book here that was written in the 1840s by Thomas Weisman, talking about the key, the symbolic language of scriptures. And he's talking about, and when he describes it, and I found other examples I'm going to show you as far as the scriptures go. The sun and the moon and the stars. Whenever the scene of government is laid, whether in a civil or ecclesiastical state, or in that of a single family, the sun, moon, and stars, when mentioned together, denote different degrees of power or government in the same state. This is evident in the what we have in the scriptures, talking about a single family from Joseph's dream in Genesis 37 and 10, when the sun, the moon, and the stars that bowed down to him were interpreted by Jacob. Excuse me. So let's look. He says in 37 and 9, behold, I had a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. Obeisance means to bow down, to pay homage, to be great respect. Okay? So what did in 37 and 10, his father goes, and he told it to his father and his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come and bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? So Jacob knows that the sun refers to himself, the moon refers to the wife, and the 11 stars are the 11 sons. But in a kingdom, it could the king could be the sun, the queen could be the moon, and the stars could be lesser rulers around his kingdom. So in the United States, the sun would be Washington, D.C. The moon could represent the states. The stars could be a lesser local governments. Now you can understand that scripture, what he's saying. Before I go further, I have to talk about the sea and the waves roaring, because that's very misunderstood. So the sea, Thomas Weismas, the water signifies people, and the sea being a collection of waters, the sea becomes the symbol of people gathered into the body of politics, or kingdoms, or jurisdictions, or united in a cause, like in a war. A sea troubled and tumultuous denotes a collection of men in motion and war. Examples in the scriptures that I found in Isaiah. But the wicked are like the troubled sea when it cannot rest, whose waters cast out mire and dirt. This is the sea, the peoples. Jeremiah refers to the destruction of Babylon by the Persians. The Persians were referred to as the sea. Jeremiah, the sea has come up upon Babylon. She is covered with the multitudes of waves thereof. And then you go to Isaiah, talks about it. Woe to the multitudes of many peoples, which make a noise like the noise of the seas, and to the rushing of nations that make a rushing like the rushing of a mighty waters. It's all through the scriptures. You just got to go look. Okay, in Jude, talking about false brethren coming into the church that preach another Jesus. These are spots on your feast of charity, when they feast with you, feeding themselves without fear. Clouds they are without water, carried away of winds, trees whose fruits withered, without fruits, twice dead, plucked up by the roots, raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame. wandering stars to whom they reserve the blackness and darkness forever. Would you say the world is raging right now? That this stuff going on with ICE, is it not raging right now? Let me go on. All right. So we're going to look at it again. And there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars. So we know it represents governments around the world from top to bottom, from presidents to local mayors in small cities, all. So it goes on and it gives you more indication, something else that backs up what he's talking about there. It talks about distress of nations from top to bottom with perplexity. Perplexity is the word aporia. It means to have no way out, mentally to be at a loss. So these governments around the world, these organizations, these churches around the ecclesiastical groups, they don't have any answer. They have distress of nations. They don't have any answers for the forced judgments of God, the sword, famine, and pestilence, and the beast. They don't have any answers for these people that are rioting in these cities. They don't have any answers for war. They don't have any answers for the pestilence that's coming. No answers for the economy, for the inflation that's going on, the war in Europe, the Middle East war, crime, invasion of illegals that are here already. It's, oh, they shut down the border, but that's done. The damage is done. And it goes on the destruction of farms, how they have destroyed farming around the world. God has put in these people's minds the need to, try to save the world from global. It was, I have to back up. When I was a kid in the 60s and 70s, you know what they did? They would put an old car on there. They would show an exhaust coming out the back, blah, 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 just smoke bellowing out. And they would say, global cooling. We're all going to freeze. Now, global warming. Now, they changed it from global warming to global change, climate change, or whatever it is. Just climate change. They don't want to say it's going to be cool or it's going to be hot. Just climate change. And these people are destroying your ability of nations to feed itself. This is God that put it in their minds to do that. God is causing famine to come upon the world, one of his judgments, and it's coming. I'm sorry, get carried away. The stress of nations, right? Famine is one of the things they have to deal with. So the seas and the waves roaring, we already talked about. The people of the world are angry with governments. They're angry at other countries. Armies on the move around. Look at Trump, capturing people, shooting boats up that they say bringing drugs over here. The politics are in chaos. The left and the right hate each other with a passion. These people, you think these people do this on their own? It's God that put these crazy people on here that say they want to give people paralytics, that they want to go and find people and hurt their children too. You think that these people are smart enough to come up with this stuff themselves? It's God that put the orgay in them. Orgay. It's feminine gender. It's the wrath of man that God put on him. He's wrathful. He hates. I'll go into orgay one day, all the things that orgay is and how we're not supposed to be involved in it. Let me get back to this. So, politics, chaos, the insanity of grown people attacking children's innocence and pushing their twisted sexual ideologies around the world. It's God that put it in their minds to do that. destroy nations and children and families. God brings evil. It's angry men that just don't get their way. You can't think different from me. You can't have a MAGA hat. Governments blow up pipelines to destroy other nations. Trump sanctions people left and right and changes his mind the next day. The seas and the waves are roaring, and it's going to get much worse. Martial law is going to be in the streets to try to keep people under control. And it's not Satan that's doing it. It's God. It tells you right here in Psalms, okay? People don't go and look in the Old Testament to try to understand the New Testament, but you have to. It says in Psalm 76 and 10, surely the wrath of man shall praise thee, and the remainder of wrath shalt thou restrain. God is using the roaring seas of wrath or gay of men for his purpose before the Lord's return. So we're looking at it again. We're going to look at Luke 21 and 26. These things will be happening, what we're talking about. And then he talks like this, men's hearts failing them for fear, for looking at those things which are coming upon the earth, for the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. He's not talking about the heavens and the skies. We're going to look at one word first, shaken. It's salyo. It means to topple, to be destroyed. So the powers of heaven are going to topple and be destroyed. He's not talking about anything toppling out of the sky. He's talking about nations. The heavens were the ruling class. The heavens and the people below them were the ruled. That would be us. The heavens would be Washington. The heavens would be other capitals of other countries. The heavens in the ecclesiastical, you would have to say, would be the Baptists, the Pentecostals, the Catholics. But they're wicked, but they would be considered the heavens because they run all these churches that are teaching you false doctrine and sucking up all your money. So men's hearts failing. The heart was a place of understanding. So when men's hearts fail, it means they don't understand what's going on with what they see coming upon the earth. It's the wars, the famine, the pestilence. They don't understand. They don't understand it's God's judgment that's fall. It's fallen from the beginning even to now, and it's gotten much worse because of the great falling away. I mentioned in the other video. You have to go back and look at it. So, men's hearts failing. Men don't understand why the world appears to be falling away, falling apart, not falling away. The economy, disease, wars, governments are perplexed. They have no way out, aporia. The powers of the heaven, the ruling classes, I'm going to repeat it, the powers of the heavens, the ruling classes, those in the ecclesiastical class shall be shaken, to be toppled. Said it right up here. Shall be toppled, will be destroyed. There'll be no more. And it's God that is doing it. These are idioms. And once you understand the idioms, you can understand what Jesus was talking about. And after the heavens are shaken, what does Jesus say comes next? And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in clouds with power and great glory. So, the wrath of man is going to get much worse for all of us. The wrath, the hatefulness, the division. That's enough. There was somebody that said something a while back, and I wrote it down here. I don't know who said it, but it says, talking about when Jesus comes back, the day of the Lord will be both the crown of salvation and the ultimate stroke of judgment. That's I don't look forward to the day of the Lord with all these people dying. I do not. What is the day of the Lord to me? It is darkness. It's a man who, I can paraphrase it, escapes from a lion and goes to his house and gets attacked by a bear, and he escapes the bear and goes and puts his hand on the wall and gets bit by a serpent. It's wickedness when the day comes back and Jesus comes back for his church. It'll be wicked for the rest of those people that are going to die and go to hell because they didn't. God. Oh, no, I'm not going to go into that. I've probably said enough. The gospel is the resurrection. The gospel is the resurrection. When it talks about resurrection, it's not talking about, sometimes it does, but most of the time when it's talking about resurrection, it's feminine gender. The gospel is the resurrection of Christ in us. That's the resurrection. The resurrection of Christ, repenting, thinking like Christ, going to the narrow way, going through tribulation. And it's God. People think that, if you're predestined, that you just do anything you want. No. Predestination, when you are the elect, you are going to get the bloody beating of your life. I don't look forward to it. It scares me. But I know it's God that saved me. It's God that turned me. It's God that made me hate my sin. It's God that just recently did something it was horrific, and it changed my wife and I and it's God that did it. And we were shocked and how it changed us and what we've done after that. But it was God that I'm a witness to that. If you belong to God, he is going to chasten you, and you just better watch out. You better walk a straight line. You better study. There's a guy on here named Jim Brown of Grace and Truth. I've learned a lot from him, a great deal. But he's on YouTube, go and look at his videos, Doctrine of the Devil. He'll show you where, look up Christ Mass and Easter, and go look up all these things, and he breaks it down and gives you the definitions of all these words. I don't know. I guess that's all I got to say today. But repent, metanoia, turn and think differently, and it's God that has to do it. You can't. You cannot save yourself. I can't say that enough. God does not save. We're not born of flesh or blood or the will of man, but of God. Do you even know born again? Again is the word anathen. It means from above. Your birth, born again, is from above. It's God that saves you. Save or we perish. Save us, Lord, or we perish. Should be what you think before you wake up in the morning, when you go to sleep, when you say your prayers. God, show me. Help me to understand. Give me wisdom. And if you are his elect, if you are predestined, if your name was written in the Lamb's Book of Life before the foundation of the world, it's all through the scriptures talking about that. It's all in the scriptures talking about he blinds people. This, he does not let people see that he does not want. It makes me sad. I'm not, I don't say this and glory in it at all. It's sad to me that my family members can't see and they don't have a chance. My parents are already gone. What they're probably going through right now, it breaks my heart. My children, I don't know. Oh well, I've had enough of this today, and I hope you have too. Goodbye.